ready. We are ready. Welcome, everyone. I I thank you all for joining us today from across the country. We know that our country and our industry are facing an unprecedented crisis. All of us, especially those in food service, have been impacted by COVID-19 in so many ways. Many of our colleagues are facing unemployment, unbelievable stress, and are struggling. To all of you tuning in, please know that you are not alone. As members of the food service industry, the ACF community is here for you. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, about 1 in 5 Americans lives with mental illness, yet only half receive treatment. Food service workers have the highest rates of substance abuse disorders, and in a recent study conducted by Chefs with Issues, 73% of the participating chefs reported that they suffer from mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. Today, we'll hope to address some of these issues and provide information and resources for you or for your current or future teams so that they can best cope and even thrive during these tough times and beyond. Today, we look forward to a candid discussion about these issues. And let's meet our panelists. For ACF United, we are stronger together, wellness for the mind, body, and soul of chefs. At this time, I'd like to introduce a special guest, Kiwi Hermans, Culinary Program Specialist from ACF Certification. Thank you, Kiwi.
Thank you, Jackie. Happy to be here. Before we begin, as a note, we have received many questions via email in advance, and we will also be taking questions from you, the viewers, as we are able. Please use the chat function to collaborate and the Q&A function to post questions to our ACF moderators. Panelist Antoine Brinson will also be chatting with you live today during the broadcast. Let's meet our speakers, a truly incredible panel of professionals. We are honored to have you join us today to share. They all have incredible resumes, and so apologies in advance that we've had to shorten them quite a bit so that we can get to as many of your questions as possible. First up is Chef Steve Palmer, who is the managing partner of the hospitality and consulting company, the Indigo Road Hospitality Group, which owns and operates more than 24 restaurants throughout the Southeast. Palmer is a co-founder of Ben's Friends, a food and beverage industry support group offering hope, fellowship, and a path forward to professionals who struggle with substance abuse and addiction. This fall, he released his debut memoir, Say Grace, How the Restaurant Business Saved My Life, further telling the story of his journey to and through sobriety. Thank you for being here, Chef Palmer. Next up, we have Chef Art Nighthawk Letta, who is the corporate chef for Impossible Foods. After a career in restaurant kitchens, he found his way into world of food distribution as a U.S. Foods fanatic chef. In his current role, he is truly grateful for the knowledge he has gained in both food manufacturing and the plant-based protein world. Chef is an outspoken proponent of mental wellness for chefs and continues to touch lives through sharing his story and experiences. Thank you for being here, Chef. Known internationally as the running nutritionist, Chef Lisa Dorfman is an award-winning leader to industry, academia, and has built a global culinary, nutrition, and sports performance consulting business with clients from Olympians to luxury resorts. Lisa has earned many accolades and certifications, including licensed nutritionist, board certified specialist in sports dietetics, board certified professional counselor, certified culinary medicine specialist, triathlon coach, certified Reiki practitioner, and so many more accolades. She is Chef Alliance Director for Slow Food Miami and has authored 8 books in her, quote, spare time, has run hundreds of races and over 35 marathons. Welcome, Chef Lisa. Next up is personality Eric the Trainer, who is a Hollywood physique expert with over 28 years of experience in physical transformation. Last weekend, Eric created an online concert for Feeding America and raised over $25,000, equaling over 250,000 meals. He has worked with the ACF for many years and prefers to be paid in food rather than money. Eric the Trainer has shown his dedication to the health of the ACF culinary community as are his chef workouts at ACF conferences and convention, and has also been awarded the ACF Spirit of Aloha Award. We are proud and honored that he has partnered with ACF for so many years to provide inspiration for weight loss and an improved healthy lifestyle for chefs. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have chef and author Keith Saracen, who's worked in a variety of restaurants before founding The Farmer's Dinner, a farm-to-table event planning company in New Hampshire. The Farmer's Dinner has hosted over 81 farm-to-table events across New England and fed more than 17,000 customers, raising over $120,000 for local farms. Chef Saracen, founder and co-owner of Northern Comfort Hospitality, and has also started the Facebook support group Industry United, connecting food service workers from across the country who are sharing resources and advice. Thank you for being here, Chef Keith. Next up, we have Chef Antoine Brinson, who had the good fortune of growing up in a household fueled by pure passion, as his mother was a dedicated foster parent who raised over 250 kids. Chef is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America and the rigorous 3-year apprenticeship program at the legendary Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. In 2018, Antoine launched his first company, Culinary Concepts, AB, in Charlottesville, with the intention to create a socially minded company that focuses on developing individuals' passions and abilities by teaching life skills and self-worth through culinary arts. Thank you for being here, Chef. Next up, we have Chef Nalini Mahida, founder of the Happy Chef Project, as well as Route to India. She teaches Ayurvedic cooking, a food science and philosophy with the same ancient origins as yoga. She is also a meditation and breathwork instructor and has held roles as culinary instructor at the Natural Gourmet Institute for Food and Health and Institute of Culinary Education in NYC. Chef was a recent recipient of the James Beard Foundation and Women in Leadership program, during which time she worked with restaurateurs to understand the culture and mental health issues of restaurant staff to promote wellness amongst food service professionals. Wow, that is an amazing group that we have. Now back to your moderator, Jackie Pressinger, ACF Director of Strategic Partnerships.
All right, well, it's truly an honor to have you all here. Thank you so much, Kiwi. And now let's jump right into the programming. First, I'd like to go around and we'll just do sort of a quick fire around the panel. If you could please share, what is the one thing that you feel that chefs and culinary students who are viewing can start doing today to improve their self-care or their stress levels? So let's come around and I will start today off with Chef Letta.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you everyone for joining today. Truly appreciate being on this amazing panel of such talented individuals. You know, in response to your question, the first thing I would suggest is when you recognize you have an issue, talk about it. Seek help. Seek someone to talk to. I am very blessed that I recognize what was going on with me, and through the help of so many individuals was able to find the right person where I sought counseling and talk. We talk once every 2 weeks, and it is one of the most beneficial things to do for yourself as a young chef, especially in the stressful environment that we're in now and will be, is to talk about it. Don't hold it in. Express yourself. Forget the egos. Forget what people are going to say. It's about you and your self-care and your health and your mental health. So talk about it, seek the help, and don't be afraid to admit you have a problem and you need help.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And Mr. Palmer.
You know, I'd not to be redundant, but I would second that. I mean, our organization, Ben's Friends, was founded in memory of a chef, Ben Murray, who committed suicide, that we didn't even know was struggling. And he was struggling with addiction. He was surrounded by sober chefs in the kitchen he worked in. You know, and for whatever reason, he was struggling and he ultimately took his life. And you know, one of the things we say in Ben's Friends all the time is it's okay not to be okay. And I think really, you know, letting go of the shame and stigma, I've been sober 18 years myself, but letting go of that idea, especially in the kitchen, that it's sort of work hard, party hard, live hard. There's nothing, what I have found, especially when it comes to substance abuse in the sober community, especially with Ben's friends, it's for the restaurant community. There's nothing but a group of people that want to help. All you have to do is ask. Let go of the ego, let go of the shame, and ask for help.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll certainly look forward to hearing a little bit more about Ben's friends and how that might benefit some that are viewing throughout this conversation. Chef Sarah, to speak next.
Sure. Well, thank you to the ACF. Thank you all so much for being here and participating in this. This is so, so, so important. I guess to second what Chef Art was saying, you know, we're in crazy times, and it's very difficult. Make sure that you're reaching out to somebody. One of the things that I do is practice mindfulness, and it's something as simple as being able to kind of feel and sense the issues that are going on with you, whether that's stress, whether that's anxiety, and be able to just observe them for a minute. A lot of times we think that we become our emotions. We think that emotions come from the outside in, and that's not the way it works. We're in charge of our emotions. And so being able to think about those emotions that we're feeling, acknowledge them, and just seeing them from a third-party perspective kind of for the moment will help. And we can get into that more. But thank you guys for being here. It is going to be a great conversation today.
Thank you, wonderful. And my friend Eric, your thoughts?
Hey guys, it's great to be here. Thank you so much to the ACF for allowing me to come on. It's an honor to be here. And I can tell you this, when this COVID crisis hit, I actually got several calls from ACF chefs who, it wasn't the workout that they missed, it was the camaraderie, it was the community, it was the sense of self. Literally a few of the ACF chefs that called me said to me point blank, I feel like I'm forgetting who I am. And so because of that, because of the mindset, I think we have to look at the mental health of chefs. And one of the easiest ways to take care of your mental health is to exercise. I know there's never been a better time. I guess the definition of optimism is seeing the glass half full versus half empty. But now is the greatest time in your entire life to work out every single day, because the endorphins that are released in your mind make you feel better. They give you perspective. And there are opportunities that will rise from this time that you need to take advantage of. You need to be in the right physical and mental shape. I say, let's work out.
I love it. And I know many of the ACF chefs have been attending your online workouts. So thank you so much for all that you do for us as well. Chef Dorfman, would you mind addressing that quick fire question as well?
So thank you so much. I'm so honored to be amongst this group of chefs and your backgrounds and perspectives. I've been a part of a panel with some of you before. You know, this is really important what we're doing here, because not only the connections, but it's about looking forward. You know, it's like emerging from a fugue we've been in. I don't know if you've felt the same way, but we've had 9 weeks of hell, basically. And I think we're starting to see the light. And so the only thing that we could do is take charge and take action and look forward and do anything when it comes to, you know, exercise. Sometimes just getting out in the sun, you know, getting that vitamin D may change your mood, you know, may make you, it's like the endorphins, just make you feel better, brighter. And then, of course, you know, just starting to care for yourself. You know, we tend to forget about ourselves when we're depressed, we're angry, or so now's the time to, you know, the job interview is coming. We've got to move ahead. We've got to think positive. And even if you're not thinking that way right now, you will start to when you go through the motions of doing it. It's like training. So keep your eye on the sparrow.
Thank you. Very, very, very nicely done. And Chef Mehta.
I think I'll sum up with everything that has been said here, which is really building connections. So one was connecting with others and connecting, using mindfulness, using exercise, and using, for me, it's the breath, the tool that we have within us that can really build that connection. So as much as we're socially distanced, I think now more than ever, this is an opportunity to connect with ourselves with one tool that we have, which is our breath. You know, we at the Happy Chef project work with this breathing technique, which has been used in yoga for thousands of years. But it's inherent. It's a gift that we have, and it's so undervalued and underutilized that we can gain so much from. So I hope to share that with you during this period.
Great. Yes. Thank you very much. And finally, on this intro question, Chef Brinson.
I want to thank you for having me. Again, the energy on this call is ridiculous. You guys are super positive. I love it. And agreeing with everything that everybody said, I feel connected in a way that, from me loving, I bike 3 times a week. That's my workout, to just using this opportunity to reconnect with my family. This has been an opportunity that I've really embraced. A lot of silver linings for me. For me, the way that I would say is really investing in your in personal development. This is a great time. I mean, right now we have, one thing that I know for me personally that I've always prayed for is like, man, I wish I had more time. And being in the kitchen, we always feel like there's never enough time. Well, guess what? You got it. What are you doing with it? You can sit there and say, poor me, oh man, I wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda, or you can actually do something about it and reshape your future and start looking at, books that are out there, being a part of a session like this, and just start looking at some of the more progressive things that are happening and being a part of change. And I think by doing and making that investment in yourself, you can really change your trajectory.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you to all the panelists. The first question that we had received in advance was speaking to that there are many studies showing that chefs are more susceptible to depression. And so I'm going to come around, Chef Stairs, and I'm going to come to you first. How do you think that we can recognize this in ourselves or our colleagues, and then what do we do with that when we kind of recognize that feeling?
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. One of the first things that we can do to recognize that we're kind of going through things is notice that our patterns have changed. For instance, so many of us were used to our daily routine of getting into the kitchen, prepping, front of the house, back of the house, whatever your position may be. Our routines are completely changed. And because of that, we experience a plethora of emotions at this point that kind of cause us to kind of tailspin. I notice me kind of in my life, I was used to going into my one of my restaurants at the time, hammering out all my office work, getting upstairs and getting focused on the service that night. And I've been in isolation for 2 months. The difference is just completely jarring. I'm used to seeing people and friends. The most important thing we can do is, just like we were talking about mindfulness, is to recognize that emotion, recognize that something isn't right inside of us. The next thing that we can do, as so many of these chefs have echoed already, is to talk about that. And then subsequently, like Art was saying, whether that's with somebody who's a professional, I do the same thing every other week. I speak with a professional for the last 2 years, which is really important to me. And then also another component that I'd add here is journaling. I'm a writer, I'm an author, and so for me, writing has always been a very personal and vulnerable thing. So I write every single solitary day, and nobody has to see this journal. We talk about our fears, our insecurities, and our emotions during the course of that. So those are 3 things that we can do right off the bat to help handle and stifle some of the depression.
Excellent, thank you. And I know sometimes things happen in life where it gets a little bit out of hand. And Mr. Palmer, I was wondering at this point if you could let us know a little bit more about Ben's Friends and how linking with your organization might be of benefit to the chefs who are reviewing.
Sure. Ben's Friends was formed, when I got sober in 2001, we were not having the mental health conversation in the restaurant industry at all. And so I've always sort of had this desire to give back to the industry. And when Ben's Friends was formed, it was, as I mentioned, a chef that had committed suicide. He had been to detox 6 times and no one had any idea. So we didn't even know he was struggling. I called a fellow sober person and Mickey Bax, my co-founder, and we said, let's start a weekly support group for people in the business that are seeking sobriety, run by people that have achieved it. And then right after that, about 6 months later, Anthony Bourdain, of course, killed himself. And overnight, we started getting emails, and so from chefs around the country. So we're in 17 cities now. It's a weekly support group, and what's been beautiful through this period is we immediately launched all of our meetings on Zoom. We do a national meeting every day at 1 o'clock. All those links are at bensfriendshope.com. And there are 40 or 50 people at these meetings every day. There are people that have never physically been to a Ben's Friends meeting that are finding us online. But the really inspirational thing for me, there are people getting sober in the middle of this crisis. There are people that are choosing this time to not just get by and not just survive, but to actually take steps to make better their lives. I'll be honest, that's not something I would have done when I was in active addiction. So I'm really inspired by people in our business that, I mean, every day we have people with 3 days of sobriety, a week of sobriety. And what's really been beautiful is the sense of community that we've connected. I mean, we all crave social connection. That's why we're in the restaurant business. That's why we're in this business. And so to create that platform online and to see how people have responded, we most likely will continue the national Zoom meetings long after this is over, just because there's people from Canada, California, it's just really incredible. So to be able to give back to the industry that has given me everything in my life it's deeply fulfilling, but the work is actually, it's really, really powerful to watch people change their lives.
Absolutely. And thank you for all that you and Mickey and Ben's Friends do. For anyone who's tuning in to the webinar, we'll also have the website up on the final page. Awesome. And then we'll also email the link as well for those who want to reach out to you. So again, when we're thinking about these, connections and feeling better, I think one of the topics that came up a lot in the emailed questions in advance had to do with exercise and feeling better. So I'm definitely going to be coming to Chef Dorfman and Eric. Eric, I didn't know if you wanted to kick this off too. For chefs who might be at home and have never worked out before, what can they do now? And then Chef Dorfman, I'm going to come to you about once they get back in the kitchen and they're doing those 80-hour weeks, what can they do? All in the focus of self-care and feeling better. So take it away, Eric.
Awesome. Well, I have one thing to say, and that is health is wealth. So I know a lot of you are very worried about your financial situation. A lot's happened and it's a little uncertain, but I would maintain that if you can get your mind and your body rocking and rolling, feeling great, you will have that wealth. And the way to do it is actually two ways. Number one, from a physical standpoint, you can work out with me every day up to twice a day. If you go to my website, ericthetrainer.com, and sign up for my free Zoom classes, we literally have had hundreds and thousands of people working out for the past 8 weeks. It's completely for free because when this hit, I said, I'm going to give my number one skill set to the world for free. And we've had a good time. We've had tons of celebrities on the show. It's a lot of fun and it'll cheer you up. The other thing that you can do is take this time as an opportunity to decide what's really important in your life. What I'm trying to say is a lot of the culinarians that I spend time with say to me point blank, I'm so crazed at work, I can't even feel like my head is above water. I don't really know what I want. Well, guess what? The Lord above gave us a little time right now, so you can decide what you really want. What is your goal? I challenge everyone that's on this webinar who's listening in to write down on a piece of paper, this is my definition of success. Do I want to own a restaurant? Do I want to own a catering company? Do I want to win a James Beard Award? Tell yourself and tell us what your definition of success is, and then from where you are, plot a path there. I'm telling you, the mental health and physical health knows no boundaries. Boom.
Thank you. Thank you for the enthusiasm. Thank you, Chef Dorfman. Chef Dorfman, please. And then when the chefs are back to work, I know that can be sometimes a reason that people let the exercise fall to the wayside. But what advice would you have about when we all start coming back to work, how to continue to feel healthy, either through diet or exercise?
I mean, there's no question that exercise and eating well make you feel better. I think one of the beauty of this last 9 weeks is having the opportunity to eat when you're hungry. which is a luxury, you know, when you're in the kitchen, because so many hours go by and then you come home just so, you know, exhausted, and you're eating food. And so you need to make a routine like we've done over the, past journey that we've taken together. Get up first thing in the morning, because, you know, if you wait to do that workout, it's not going to happen. You could take a time out and you could do some squats and, you know, on the patio or the porch, or, but getting up first thing in the morning is the best way to start the day, to start your metabolism, you know, get the juices flowing, get your thoughts flowing. You know, it's a way to connect to, you know, sort of that higher, whatever you believe in, sort out your thoughts, work through issues. You know, I always say it's not the person that's, you know, yelling and screaming and, you know, they're getting their angst out. And it's not the person that's scaring themselves that reaches out to chefs with issues. And it's the person that's accepting the as is situation. And so it's those folks that need to take that first step out of bed, get in the shower, move like, you know, you just want to reach the next step, the stars, whatever that is for you. And it's going to change. We can't look in the back, you know, the back view mirror and say what was, because I think it's going to be really different as we move forward, which brings great opportunities and challenges to educate yourself, like Chef was saying, and enhance your abilities.
Hey, Jackie, do you mind if I just camp onto what Eric and Chef Lisa said?
Please.
You know, if you can be on your phone surfing the news for an hour, you know, Facebook, social media, that's 1 hour of your day that an individual can focus on their own health, self-care. I wake up every morning, I run every morning for an hour, rain, snow, cold, whatever in the Midwest, because it gets my mind right. It sets the tone. This is my time to focus on me, to focus on what I need to challenge myself throughout the day and how I can lift my spirits throughout the day. There's moments on my runs, I'll stop, I'll look at some of the forest and I'll just sit there and think, what do I have to do today? How can I make myself better today? What obstacles am I going to be challenged, and how do I defeat them? So use that hour, and Eric's right. It's all about, and Lisa's right as well. Once you wake up, put those clothes on, go for a walk. Don't brush your teeth. Who cares? Just chew some gum. It's fine. No one needs to smell your breath at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, it literally is, it's our time as chefs, culinarians. It's our time to focus on ourselves. It's great to cook and show it to the world, you know, on social media. It's great to tell social media, the world, what you're doing, but do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Do it for yourself so you can become that person that you were meant to be.
Wonderful. Do any of the other panelists want to add anything before we move on? Okay, yes. And Chef Meta, if you could speak up just a little bit, we would love to hear you better.
I'll take it from Art right there, you know, hygiene. So, you know, we look at taking the shower or dental hygiene, but what about mental hygiene? Like how do we not address that? You know, we take time, even if nobody's watching, we will hopefully brush teeth at some point of the day. But how is it that mental hygiene is not a thing? Just because we can take a shower and feel refreshed, and we brush our teeth, feel refreshed. How do we do that to the brain? And how do we get away from that constant of thoughts and emotions? And, you know, how does that stop? So we can't tell our mind, okay, stop thinking, right? If I ask you all to close your eyes and think of everything except for pink elephants, what are you going to think? Eric?
Elephants.
Pink elephants. So the way to use the breath to cleanse the mind has been amazing for me. Using just the same techniques as we use for cleaning our body and washing. And now more than ever, if we're talking hygiene, especially in the kitchen, how about mental hygiene?
Wonderful, thank you. So the next question that we are going to go to, Chef Brinton, I'm going to come to you. It's just, you know, as we know, so many of our chef friends are currently out of work, and they're possibly struggling. So what advice might you lend to someone who's in a dark place, or even thinking about self-harm?
Well, I think when you look around the nation, I mean, one thing that's beautiful about this country is that, you know, and this is, I don't know about other countries, but I can speak for America. You know, there's a ton of nonprofits out there, especially in the food community, that are looking to you know, add value to people in their different neighborhoods. And I can tell you in Charlottesville, where I'm at here, you know, we brought World Central Kitchen to Charlottesville, and, you know, they're feeding the nurses and stuff. And, you know, what you're seeing is chefs coming out, and chefs want to be a part of that. You know, it gives you a purpose again, right? Like, if you don't have anything going on, you're on furlough and you're at home, reach out to one of your nonprofits in your community and you know, dedicate your time. I mean, one, it'll help you expand your network, and two, it'll make you feel freaking good, man. It feels so good to give back to your community and help them. Another way I would highly recommend is, you know, as the chefs pointed out earlier, you know, most people are online and you're spending endless hours doing this, right? Just doing the scroll. Why not take your time and invest it in some online training resources? You know, you look at things like ACF. You have so many different organizations out there where you can get a certification by sitting in front of your computer. You can use your skill set, you can sharpen your skill set and improve where you're at today to help you when you go back into the industry get further. You know, you can increase your worth, increase your value, right? I think that, you know, some people get stuck in the moment of just sitting there thinking about what was. This is the perfect time to think about what could be. You can reimagine yourself right now, you know, and I think that using some of those resources that are out there will help propel you in the direction that, you know, you've always wanted to go in.
Wonderful. Any other panelists have anything that they would like to add, or we can move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I know Eric does too. Eric, you first, buddy.
Okay. I just want to say that I've had clients and friends call me during this time, and they're bummed out. They feel pretty bad just in general. And I say, well, what are you up to? And they're like, oh, I just watched this really sad movie. If you want to watch television at home, you know, Jerry Seinfeld has a new comedy special on Netflix. That is awesome. Choose something that's going to cheer you up. Choose something that's inspiring. Like, you actually can program what goes into your mind, and you can choose things that'll make you smile, which is very good for you, or you can choose things that are further depressing. So just remember, in every situation, there is an opportunity, and there is great opportunity here. We're here to help.
Great. I think there was someone else who wanted to touch upon this subject.
Yeah, I'd love to add to that, just from a mental health perspective. You know, I was on a panel last week, and we were talking about isolation is the enemy of mental health. It's and it's sad, especially with depression, suicide, and addiction. Most often people are completely isolated at the end of those very negative cycles. And so one of the things that we've been acutely aware of in the recovery community is the need to bring people out of isolation and be connected. Just like everybody on this panel who's so well-spoken and articulate, what we're talking about is finding new ways to be connected. But I will also tell you, and it was already mentioned, but one of the sort of like tenets or the pillars of the recovery community is, if you feel sorry for yourself, go work with someone who's less fortunate. Go work with other people. And when you look at, you know, we launched an initiative with other restaurateurs in Charleston called Pay It Forward, where we're dropping off groceries to unemployed employees around the city. There's nothing that's going to get you out of a dark time more than working with other people. And there are so many ways, whether it's, of course, Jose Andres' World Kitchen that we're all familiar with, but there are local opportunities. We have a charity called Feed the Need, where we underwrite a soup kitchen for a year. We do an event one night, and it underwrites for the entire year. Those big gestures, but those also small gestures, doing for other people during this time, which, by the way, what I love about our industry is that's innate. We're in the restaurant industry, we're in the hospital. It's innate for us to serve other people. That's just automatic. So don't isolate, and work with others would be the thing from a mental health perspective for sure.
Can I jump in for like 10 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. We have as much time as we need. We'd love to hear.
So there's an amazing book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you haven't read it, please read it. It's absolutely earth-shattering. The last agreement is called Always Do Your Best. And understand that your best changes from moment to moment. Our best pre-pandemic is probably not our best post-pandemic and current pandemic, and that's okay. A lot of what the advice that you're going to hear today is just absolutely amazing. I would love to be able to join Eric and run 5 miles, but the reality is I'm probably not going to. But you know what I can do? I can start. I can get out the door. I can do one thing today, and maybe that's my best. And then eventually you work yourself up to doing more and more and more. And that's what it's about, doing your best and not holding yourself accountable that you can't do what other people can do. It's about you and your journey right now.
Awesome. How about an arm wrestling match?
I think you got me there too, but cooking, I got that.
There's a question in there asking if we could explain, kind of elaborate a little bit more on how you can take better care of your mental health.
Sure. Would any of the panelists like to offer some words of wisdom?
Sure, I'll start off. Talk, conversate, reach out. Those are the first things that I did when I started recognizing there was something really, really wrong mentally with me. And it got to a point where it almost created self-harm. And when I snapped out of it, I immediately made some calls. I immediately reached out to my best friend. I immediately made the move and had to be in a safer environment, and that's I would suggest reaching out. It would be the first thing to take care of your mental health. If you feel something's wrong, it's wrong. Trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your heart. And if you're feeling something's wrong here, something's wrong here, and vice versa.
I want to add on to that. For me, one thing that I do every morning when I wake up is, I do the 5 gratitude. I find 5 things that either happened in my previous day or 5 things that's to come that I'm super excited about. I've been doing that for probably the last 2 years. And what that does for me is it allows me to start out with the mindset on a positive track. So if I open up an email and it's not what I want, if something happens in my day and it's not what I want, I've already invested positive energy into myself. So I'm going to be that much further ahead in my day. And throughout my day, what it does for me is it allows me to just kind of have these little reflections, these little moments of gratitude, and where I just show appreciation. And it could be something as simple as, like my son actually washing the dishes without me asking him. It could be something that's small that goes so far. But I mean, just being able to recognize the little moments in your day in the big picture allows you to have more positive energy at the end of the day.
Great. Yes, thank you. I'm going to come to you, Chef Dorfman. One of the questions we had in advance was that someone is struggling with an eating disorder. And they have a lot of shame around that, considering they work with food. And they also have some shame around it because they feel they feel they're the only man that is dealing with this. So I'm wondering if you might be able to address that for them.
So the same community that are there for addiction treatment, and often there's a lot of overlap. There's communities for the eating disorders. So some of the thoughts I had while some of the other panelists were, sharing their mental health, strategies. I had learned a technique when I was working with a lot of trauma victims, and it's traumatic incident reduction. And traumatic incident reduction is when you say your story over and over again. And by the 5th or 6th time that you've told that story, you inherently work through that issue, at least for that given period of time. So sometimes people say, well, they tell that same story every time. It's that same issue, but that is so incredibly helpful. The other is cognitive behavioral therapy. I mean, I can't say enough, and it sounds super shallow initially, but to go through the motions, like go for a workout, eat good food, or eat better food choices, whatever that may be for you. Because at some point you're going to start to feel like, wow, I'm doing something for myself. And it doesn't have to be, a 5-mile jog. I was just, when we were getting ready here, for our webinar, I was just pushing up on the scene. I said, wow, I feel kind of good here, So I don't think it has to be a tremendous amount. It could be physical, and then it's just, and it's the same thing in disorders as it is with addictions. It's that same, got to get the dopamine rush. So whether somebody's vomiting or drinking alcohol or starving or exercise or whatever it may be, it's they want to get that feeling, which through some exercise and good food, you get that good feeling. Taken to an excess, you're driven to always, and it's never enough. And research has shown that ceiling of dopamine, you just keep going. So eating disorders, find that community, and find positive folks. Maybe do a little research to see what kind of groups work with what level of eating disorder.
Ooh, it looks like Chef Dorfman.
I can take over if you want to.
Yeah, sure, if you wouldn't mind.
The very science of physical change, I've been a trainer for 30 years. The very science of physical change is 3 things. It's exercise, diet, and sleep. And so like a car that needs to be jump-started, there's nothing wrong with positive affirmations and having gratitude. That stuff is all great. But if you find yourself in a place where your mental place will not allow you to do that kind of gratitude the way you want to, you can jumpstart the good feeling in your mind by aligning your exercise with your diet, with your sleep. Meaning, I want you to exercise every day. As Lisa said, I want you to exercise every day first thing in the morning. Wake up, brush your teeth. You got to brush your teeth. Are you crazy? I'm friends with dentists. They want you to brush your teeth. Then I want you to go outside and go for a walk. I call it moving meditation. It feels pretty good. I'm doing it right now, and I'm in my own place. Then come back, take a shower, have a healthy breakfast. Most people are just crawling out of bed like, oh, it's 8:15. I'm so tired. You are already conquering the day. You already exercised. You took a great shower. You already had a healthy breakfast. That's kind of cool. From a diet standpoint, eat animal-based proteins, water-based carbohydrates, meaning fresh fruits and vegetables, and drink plenty of water. Healthy fats are fantastic too. And from a sleep standpoint, I challenge you to go to bed earlier than you are. Just because we're in a crazy time does not give you license to go to bed at crazy times. It's actually not good for you. Go to bed before 10 o'clock. That's my challenge to you. In bed in the 9s. It's the golden pillow challenge. Try to go to bed in the 9s, and when you wake up, you'll feel well rested. You'll feel terrific. That will jumpstart this.
I love
to camp onto Eric the trainer. I'm sold. I'm going to work out with you, Eric, for sure. And what? There you go. So, Eric's right. You're like a car. You have to take care of yourself, because this is your only body. This is your only mind. This is your only soul for now. But that's where you have to treat yourself right. Diet is important, mental health, exercise. Once you take care of all of this from here to here to there, the world is your oyster, and nothing but positivity, nothing but great energy, endorphins are going to be released. And Eric's right. Start off, Lisa's right as well. Just start off getting out of bed, 1 foot at a time. Put the pant leg, one leg at a time, and then go out there. Get your physicality in, get your emotions out, get your diet in. It just starts one step at a time. And once you start doing that as a routine, it's easy peasy.
I want to share like something personal with me. Some years back, my mom got really sick, and she doesn't really, she doesn't work out. She's an older woman. She's just at home, and she went down this road of depression. And I invested in a Wii video gaming system for her, and it has changed her life. like so much. I mean, because she's moving around, you know, she's challenging herself to do some of the game challenges, right? So I mean, there's so many different tools out there that you can use if you can't get out the house, or if you know you're not a walker or a runner, you might want to ride a bike or swimming. The Wii, you know, not advertising for Nintendo or anything, but you know, but I'm just saying that there's different things that you can use to get that physical activity and get those endorphins going.
Great.
I'd just like to add, you know, we're talking about the mind, body, and we're talking about the spirit and feeling good in all these levels. But, you know, there are so many other levels of our existence, you know. For example, our memory. Our mind has the capacity to travel all the way back in the past or way in the future. It's just, it goes faster than even our breath. So how do we use the power of our being, not just the doing? You know, it's great to exercise, couldn't agree more, and it's great to get ourselves going, but our emotions tend to go between the past and the future, and that constant worrying between those different emotions exhausts us, you know, stresses us out. And so how do we be in the present moment? And in addition to what we've touched upon, I'd also like to add meditation as that sense of being. And mindfulness is part of it, but recognizing that every time we go into the past and the future, our stress levels are exasperating us. It's just in a place where we are not being able to be here and in the now. And the breath is that. And so I keep coming back to the breath somehow. But how do we come back to the present moment? And going back to the original question, which was, you know, eating, emotionally eating, you know, how do we look at that? Well, the kind of cooking I teach is based on Ayurveda, which is like the yoga of cooking. And in Ayurveda, you know, when you are anxious or when you are fearful or you feel out of control, you are in the head. You know, it's a sense of fear, it's a sense of fight and flight. So instead of looking to be in the head space, we look to feel grounded. And how do we do that? By eating, because eating helps us feel grounded. It comforts us. But in that sense of comfort, we don't gain comfort, but we gain perhaps weight, but also a sense of loss. We are not in touch with ourselves. And that sense of isolation. So it's kind of, if you see, it all adds up. It's not just the mind, it's not just the body. We are emotions, we are ego, we are memory, we are intellect. So if we look at ourselves more holistically, some meditation techniques could be very useful as well.
Absolutely, fully agree. Many of the questions that we received in advance as well were from culinary students. And I have to tell you, they're a little scared. They're scared for their future, they're scared for the industry, and they're also scared when they hear some of these statistics around substance abuse for chefs and stress level for chefs. So I'm wondering, as many of you as would like to go, if anyone would like to address the students who are the future of the culinary industry.
I want to kind of start with that. You know, for me, when I look at the future, I'm super excited about it because, you know, as for me being a business owner, for example, you know, when you first launch a business, I mean, as a chef, you're creative. That's what you do. You create things. And guess what? Right now, the future is being created in front of your eyes. So it gives you an opportunity as a creative to be a part of the change and shape what the future is going to look like. I think that, you know, for culinary students that are in there right now, that are in school right now, you are in your most agile state. You know, as you grow in this industry, over time, you'll get rigid, you know, in some of your ways. And we try to live in an agile state, but the truth of the matter is that, you know, we get to a point where we get in our groove, you know, and that's where you start to elevate. So I would challenge you to think about how you can add value to the industry. What skill set do you have? What do you have to bring to the table? And how can you marry that with the new norm? And just go for it. You know, the world's your oyster.
I'd like to add to that. I think there's never a better time to be in our industry. And to all the students, we need you first and foremost. We need your new ideas, your new thoughts. I think about the industry that I grew up in the 80s, and you know, when I was a waiter and a bartender and a line cook, and there's nothing to be afraid of. We are in a time of transition, but this I know, we will always, I believe this, we will always come back to craving social connection, experiencing hospitality, because it's that warm hug, that sense of well-being. And we're in a period of time where we're going to have to redefine that temporarily. I believe in my heart of hearts, restaurants are going to, this is not the end of the restaurant business. We're not going to dine in plexiglass tables. We may have to do that for the short term, but at the end of the day, I guarantee if we polled this panel, tell me about some of your greatest experiences. There'll be travel, there might be hiking the Grand Canyon. They're always going to come back to, I ate this meal at this restaurant. You know, one of my best friends is Michael Anthony, who's the chef at Gramercy Tavern. They might not open for a year, but they're resolute, and people are going to crave that experience. And if you're a student on this, don't be scared. This is going to pave the way to hopefully get rid of some of the old ideology in our industry that needed to go anyway. And it's going to clear the way for beautiful new things. But I do believe hospitality is timeless. Giving it, receiving it, craving it, we're always going to crave that, and we're going to be able to do that safely again soon.
Yeah, to camp on that.
Yeah.
For students that are afraid, it's okay to be afraid. You should be afraid because you care, you know, and take this time. Like, I'm going to be honest, I stalked everyone on this panel, and I either Facebook requested your friendships, LinkedIn, you know who you are. I've did it to a few of you already, but I looked at this panel and was inspired by what they've done, what they're doing. So it's okay to be afraid, and realize that there is a plethora of us that are also afraid, but we're in this together. And be inspired by every single individual, whether it be on this panel, whether it be your fellow culinary students or your chef. Be inspired by them, because we're pivoting. We're all pivoting in this time together. No one is behind. No one's going to be alone on this. We're doing this all together.
I'd like to add to that, please. I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm a non-chef who has been to many, many ACF conferences. I don't think there are a lot of people in the world that can say that they attended so many regional and national conferences who is not at all in the culinary industry. That's me. So I can give you some perspective. And this is going out to the culinary students. If you look at the founding members of the ACF, if you look at the older chefs that are there now, they kind of walk around like they're colonels in the military. They're very regal. They're very wise. And their vibe is very, very different than the new chefs of today. The hip new chefs of today that have tattoos and that wipe their nose like this and like, they have a different level of enthusiasm. And so the message to the students of the future, to the culinary students, you're going to write your own story. And your story will include the COVID time, but your vibe and your future is up to you. Your destiny is in your hands. You can manifest that destiny, or you can fuss about it. But I say, let's grab destiny. Let's have our own identity. You're not going to be like the older chefs at the ACF. You're not going to be like those old regal guys that put cream in everything. But you're also not going to be covered in tattoos necessarily. You're going to have your own vibe. And I can't wait to see it, because I know I'm going to train you.
I want to jump in here real quick and kind of address a lot of the culinary students who have these questions. First and foremost, you guys are still in an amazing profession. We're up here part and parcel because like this is what we did for our entire lives, and this is what we love. You know, like I love being a chef. I earned that title, and I have to keep that title. It's not something that's handed to you that you just get to walk away with and put it on your wall. I love this industry. I wrote an article recently called "The Two Pandemics of the Restaurant Industry." And it literally talks about this exact thing, how there was a pandemic that happened before this, and, you know, talked about silence and talked about the island of misfit toys that really is us as chefs and in this industry. And the most important thing I think I can say to you guys is people love going out. This isn't going to change. It'll be weird for a while, and you're going to see it be weird for a while. But we're going to keep coming back to people making real food, chefs putting out plates that inspire and educate. We're going to keep seeing farm to table movements and wonderful stuff. So don't at all think that this is the end. If anything, this is a new beginning, which you guys get to forge, and that's pretty impressive.
I'd
I
like
do.
to address this to the schools, really, the culinary schools. And actually any education system really needs, and we are seeing this across the nation and around the world just now, that schooling and the way we have been educated needs to be taught differently. I mean, you know, the Happy Chef, the tagline is knife skills along with life skills. You know, where do we ever learn life skills, and why not? You know, why are we only taught to be like, oh, look at that celebrity chef and look at how great they're doing. And so we constantly feel that's where we need to be versus being in the now. And life skills is about all that we are talking just now. How do we connect with ourselves so that we can go into the world much more empowered? So what are those life skills? And therefore, everything that we're doing here, if we could take it to the schools in these times and create a curriculum around mental wellness, knowing that 73% of our industry suffers from some level of mental health issues.
Right. Well, I'm going to kind of come into our last question. I mean, I know that, again, there's so much to cover. We haven't even barely scratched the surface, but I think that we're still building from, you know, the conversations that we've had previously at ACF about mental and physical healing and issues. So what I'd love to do is I'm going to come around, and in about 1 minute, if everyone could just give any final thoughts or final words of wisdom on any topic that you like. So Chef Dorfman, you're on my screen, so I'm going to start with you, please.
Well, thank you. And it's quite the challenge to write something in the chat box and speak along. You know, I'm always, and this is my 5th webinar with y'all, I'm so moved by this profession and the cohesiveness of this profession. And, you know, we're all in it together. And there's a kind of brother and sisterhood that I have felt. You know, I've been in the business for 30 years, but a chef, you know, less than that. And when I crossed over to being a chef nutritionist instead of a nutritionist, I felt like I was home. Because chefs are real. We're real people. We're artistic. We're emotional. We're hard workers, really super hard workers. But that takes a toll. You know, so everything that's been spoken about, the exercise, breathing, the reaching out to others, it's so critical that we get outside ourselves. And so I wrote in the chat box, I'm here. I've offered it to ACF, you know, please connect with me. I've been doing this a long time, and I think outside the box when it comes to career opportunities. I'm just so joyful right now to have been out of this presentation, because I think there's somebody that didn't ask that question that has been moved by something said today.
Agree. And thank you for always being so generous with your time. We appreciate it. Chef Letta, if you wouldn't mind giving us your final thoughts.
Sure. You know, I just want to say I'm very, very fortunate and very honored to be part of this panel and be here with all of you today, because 2 years ago, it was a different story. And my advice is shed the ego, don't be afraid, reach out. If something doesn't feel right mentally, physically, it's not. And there's nothing wrong with calling someone and say, hey, can you talk to me? Hey, something's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. It's okay to cry. It's okay to talk to your executive chef. It's fine. It's okay not to be okay. And by recognizing that, that's your first step. And don't feel afraid. It's, you know, we're all living through some uncomfortable times, and we're all in this together. And, you know, just realize happiness is a choice, and it's your choice.
Thank you so much. And Chef Brinson.
Yeah, this is an awesome conversation, everybody. And it's so much. I mean, things that I'm walking away with. I just want to kind of just tag on to something that somebody said a little while ago about life skills. I mean, my organization was designed around the life skills concept because that's something as chefs that we kind of just do naturally in the kitchen. You know, you got a guy that needs to get an apartment. Well, let's show you how to do that. Let me teach you how to open up a bank account. We kind of teach some of these foundational skills to help people navigate. What I would say for folks out there, you know, right now is a really good time for you to really kind of put things in perspective for you and align with people that, you know, feel the same way that you do about whatever that is. And that could be, you know, you might be passionate about online cooking. You might be passionate about, you know, opening a restaurant one day. This is the perfect time to seek that knowledge out and really start building yourself, getting ready for the new you, the next stage. Because after, as Steve said, man, this thing is going to end. You know, this isn't going to be forever. You know, and food service, people connect. That's what we do. It's hospitality, right? So I would highly recommend that, you know, you really find in your mind, find that thing that you want to do and start making that investment today. Start researching it, start looking it up, and figure out how you can bridge the gap and bring it to fruition.
Thank you, Chef. And Chef Mehta.
Thank you so much again for having us here. But I really hope we use this time to really build skills, like you said earlier. And, you know, constructively, how do we build that technique? You know, how do we, just like a workout routine, how do we do exercises for the mind so that for the day we are ready to take it on with much more responsibility? And when I say responsibility, it's more about our ability to respond versus react, which is the tendency when we are short of breath or we are feeling victimized. So how do we build techniques so that we build that sense of pause and respond? We offer this program through the Happy Chef Project, and I've given the link in our chat session. But the Happy Chef Project runs 3-day workshops, which we are at this time offering at a scholarship fee, which is really nothing in comparison to what we charge socially. It's a non-profit that's in 144 countries, teaching this breathworks everywhere from you know, post-traumatic stress syndrome to people who just need to live their lives more efficiently. Chefs, we are being offered this special program to take this skill and practice it on a daily basis. It's called the happychefproject.org. So I hope you join us. The next workshop is coming Tuesday next week on May 19th. And happy Mental Awareness Month to everyone.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. I think, you know, for me, I was just thinking about the word leadership. And many of us, when we were beginning our careers, we aspire to different things. I never, if you would have said to me 10 years ago, you're going to own 24 restaurants, I would have said that's impossible. But my closing thoughts are this: leadership is an act of giving. My goal is to leave this industry better than I found it. And if you come into a new restaurant, a new job, a new career, thinking about what you can contribute versus what you can get out of it, you will be amazingly abundantly blessed. I'm somebody that was homeless at one point in my life, struggled with addiction. Now we have this beautiful company. But the real beauty of my life has been Ben's Friends, being able to give back, watching people get off drugs and alcohol, and not only thrive in their personal life, become better culinarians, become more creative chefs because they're not killing themselves. So, you know, bensfriendshope.com is where we're at. But for me, the longer I'm leading other people, the more I realize I'm responsible to those people. And I say this all the time. I feel like I work for our staff. They don't work for me. I need to wake up every day being better for them. So for me, leadership is about an act of giving.
Thank you. Very inspirational. And Chef Saracen, your final thoughts.
Well, first, Steve, I just want to say absolutely spot on, my friend. Like, that was we always try to say, you know, we got to leave this planet and leave our industry better than we found it. And, you know, the reality is this: I'm just a guy on a screen who you might never see again. But I hope that during the course of this, you guys are connecting with some of the stuff that we're saying. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being able to do these grandiose things. Sometimes the smallest things that we can do with great acts of love mean more than you can even imagine. And so my encouragement to you all today would be to do small acts for yourself, both mentally and physically, and also do small acts for other people. And through that, you tend to unravel a lot of the depression, anxiety, and things that you feel. I'm not perfect at this. This is something that we all on this panel with struggle with day to day. But the difference is we make an effort to do it. And sometimes that effort's great, sometimes that effort's small, but you can start today. And so I hope you leave encouraged and know that we all care and love you guys, every single one of you, so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I saw a quote on Facebook last night that I thought was just perfect leading into our conversation today. And it said, happiness is the new rich, inner peace is the new success, health is the new wealth, and kindness is the new cool. And I think that really kind of sums up what we're trying to express to everyone who's viewing as a part of our culinary community. So I certainly thank all the panelists for joining us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honest and candid conversation. We hope that everyone who has tuned in has taken some powerful, life-changing takeaways away from the information and insight of the panelists. Again, if you need help, please do reach out and follow us you know, on Facebook and wearechefs.com for more information. This conversation will continue. We do promise that for all of you. We'll look forward to seeing you on some of the upcoming webinars and webinar series. So on behalf of ACF and the ACF National Office, please be safe. We look forward to seeing you all soon. Please remember, you are not alone. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Awesome job.
Great. This was really good. You guys have great days. Everyone have a great day and a great week.
Love
Be
you.
safe.
too.
You too. Thank you.